What's up, gang? Welcome to the Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius and Shayla. I'm so pumped to have you here with me. Now, listen, the Greatness Machine, we're about two things. Number one, people who are living their passions. And number two, those who are creating greatness in the world and doing both of these things despite the odds against them. Each episode, we're going to feature interviews with game changers, business leaders, telling us their origin stories, what made them tick, what got them to where they are now. Why? So it can help you step into your greatness within your life, your business, and your career. Occasionally, you might hear a few solo episodes from myself, moi as I say, as I leverage my 20 years of entrepreneurship as a CEO and founder to help you grow and level up in your journey to scale your life and your business. So, come be a fly on the wall, enjoy the conversation, and I'm stoked to have you here with me. Welcome to today's episode of The Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Marshaz, and boy, do we have an amazing guest. My homegirl, Shayla Gifford, is in the house. What's up, Shayla?
What up, Darius? Happy to be here.
I'm so pumped to have you here. My gosh, it's so many months in the making. I think I bugged you and then we had to reschedule, but here we are, here making magic happen. Welcome. I'm so pumped. Do you mind if I do a little bit of housekeeping and then we'll get going? Let's do it. So for audience members, I know we got a bunch of you new people out there that are new to the show. Greatness Machine, we're about two things. People are living their passions and those creating greatness and doing so despite the odds. And my friend Shayla is neither short of passion or greatness. So I always like to give a little bit of my background on how I know the guest, when I know the guest. And so Shayla was introduced to me. It's funny enough, I actually heard about Shayla because we have a bunch of mutual friends. And so Isaac Stegman was telling me about his amazing client, Shayla, and how she's got this amazing business. And begrudgingly, I admit that we both come from the mortgage space. So, we are we're probably the most interesting people to ever come out of mortgage outside of Chris Vinson and a few other people. Isaac's telling me about his amazing client and how she moved her family all the way to Spain and she's living her best life. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then Chris is telling me about his friend named Shayla, my friend Chris Vinson, who was a former guest on the show, and how she's killing it and this, that, and the other. So I've been hearing all about Shayla. And then finally Chris introduced me to Shayla and she became my client. And then I got to hang out with Shayla, which is like listen, you can hear how awesome Darius and Shayla are, but actually if you hang out with us, good luck. That's next level. And so I got to hang out with her and coach her and work with her and her team. And I was I guess smitten's not the right word, but in a professional sense, smitten. I was like, man, I love Shayla. She's so fun living. It's so cool to watch you live your best life. You just really are an inspirational person. And so although I do a rule that I don't like to ask mortgage folks to come on the show, I'm like, she's like mortgage, like I'm mortgage. I'm like, she's coming on the show because she's such an inspirational human being. So with that said, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Darius. And you are the coolest guy in mortgage. And I'm so happy I found you, even though you were post-mortgage. And you made a major impact in my life, being a coach for over a year in our business. So I'm honored to be here.
I'm honored to have you here. So I'm going to do a little bit of your my abbreviated version of your formal bio, and then I'd love to kind of talk a little bit about your background. I mean, you really have a kind of a unique, I want to say grinder, badass, make shit happen background, much like myself. And I'd love to kind of dig into that. So if you don't mind, Shayla, guys, is a entrepreneur, real estate professional. She has built an amazing business, actually kind of all over the United States, but through a company by the name of Guild Mortgage. She's an adventurer, traveler, mother of two girls. Her husband, who I have a man crush on, literally bromance when I met him, Galen, and her just are rocking it in Tahoe, amongst other badass places. And I'm going to say badass probably 100 times on this show because she's such a badass. She's a royal badass. That's an official title that has been bestowed upon her. And we were so grateful to have her here on the Greatness Machine. So with that said, I'd love, if you don't mind, kind of take us back, give us your origin story. I mean, you've done a lot of cool stuff, and I didn't go into technically what you do, but I'd love for you to kind of talk about your background, how you got into real estate, and what you've done with that, because you really are an inspirational person, especially in your business. You really mentor a lot of folks, and outside of that, though, you're really an inspirational person. So I'd love for you to kind of give some of your background, how you got to where you're at, and then we'll go from there. Does that work?
Absolutely. Ultimately I'm doing what I'm doing right now, Darius, because somebody told me I couldn't do it. Somebody said, no, I will not hire you. You have no experience. And it was in that moment that I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, and I'm going to make sure it was your worst mistake or convince you to hire me. But taking that a little bit further back, I grew up and was never really a people person. I've been very focused, very intense, very futuristic and goal oriented. And, college was a weird place for me. High school was a weird place. I never really felt like I fit in because I was always so focused on the future and what's next. And in many ways, I wish I could smell the roses and live in the present and, have enjoyed that phase of life where I go to cake parties and don't worry about anything, but just the moment. But I've never have. I've really been that kind of focused person that wants to do great things, live an extraordinary life, change the world, make an impact. Um, and I go to college. I'm prescribing to the culture that says if you get good grades and you go to a good school, then you'll get a good job, you'll meet a good guy, you'll get married, you'll have kids, you'll be happy, life is good. Well, I'm prescribed to that, and I get my straight A's not because I'm the smartest kid, but because I bust my ass and will do whatever it takes to be competitive and be number one. I get into a bunch of different universities, choose the U of A because I still wanted to be around, high energy athletics, the college experience, but was quickly demystified by college. Just felt like, gosh, there's a bunch of people just screwing around. Like, where's the people that are wanting to change the world? Where's that think tank environment? And I dropped out. I answered an ad in the college newspaper that said, do you want to be independent and make money? And it said 1099 with a dollar sign. So I thought it was like $1,099 per month or something. And it was a misprint. It was a network marketing opportunity. So to be a 1099 employee or an independent contractor, I didn't even know what that meant at the time, but my parents had a drywall business. And so I grew up with self-employed parents who grinded, went to work early, came home, we did dinner. My dad rolled out plans again at night. My parents got divorced when I was 10 or 11. My stepfather was also in construction. So I knew intimately the benefits of being self-employed and that you can go out and create a great life and have bigger opportunities. We lived in a custom built 5,000 square foot house growing up, but then every other year was like, oh, maybe we need to put the house on the market. And I'm going, do we have money? Do we not have money? Are we broke? Like, can we do stuff or not? And I really felt a lack of stability there. And so my drive and motivation to be successful and to make money was really about security and stability. That I just never wanted to question whether I could go shop at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's and get high quality food. Or if I wanted to go to somebody's wedding or bachelorette party, could I afford it? I just never wanted that to be a part of my conversation. And I never wanted my kids to worry, like, oh my gosh, are we going to have to sell our house and move and all those things? So anyway, I jumped right in network marketing, 2 feet, dropped out of college, moved to the Midwest, lived in Chicago and Ohio and Indiana. And at that time, network marketing was about selling somebody a $2,000 or $4,000 package of products, getting their business started out of their backyard or basement or garage or whatever. And that's how you made money on front loading people and getting them started. Well, here I am 19 years old and I'm having to learn how to do speaking, public speaking and pitching presentations. And I'm having to be a leader. I'm having to come into my business. I'll teach you, I'll train you, I'll mentor you. And I remember being 19 in Chicago, and I had somebody who was 42, my age now, who said, "Oh, you're my mentor." And I remember thinking, this is really weird. But I'm doing it. So I played the role, Darius. I bought a convertible Mercedes. I wore a suit every day. I told these stories of success. And I was quote unquote successful until that company was shut down by the FTC. And then
Wait, can I ask a quick
yeah.
question? What was the product that you were selling?
We were selling like all kinds of natural things. So it's like herbal supplements, natural hair care, skincare, cleaning products, water filters. Um, yeah, that,
And you were how old when you got into this? 20
I
or
was
21?
18. I mean, I started in
Oh,
yeah, that's how I started was in my dorm room. They also had a weight loss product. So I used to get samples and I make all the labels in my dorm room. And then I would go to the gym on the college campus and I don't really know people skills at this point. I like calculus, stats, physics, athletics. I'm competitive. And I've never really learned how to deal with people. I ran for student body president and lost, and then thought, oh, well, I'll just be senior class president and lost. So
This is in high school. That's in high
that's in high
school.
school. So I was not somebody that people were going to follow and want to be friends with. And yet I get into commission only sales, which is all about, likability and trust and building rapport. And I have no stinking clue how to do it. The one thing I am is courageous and competitive. So I would just approach people in the locker room and be like, hey, I tried these weight loss pills and they gave me lots of energy. They're good for studying and I lost some weight. Do you want to try it? Um,
No
yeah,
way.
talk about like my heart beating out of my chest. It was like, the scariest thing, but I also got a rush out of it. And so then when I moved to Chicago and take this on full time, I'm going out at night and I'm putting flyers on people's cars at the apartment complex saying, do you want to earn an extra $500 a month? You know, I'm running ads in the Chicago Tribune about, making part-time income and, whatever. We're just trying to recruit people into the deal, and then learning how to do public speaking and doing these pitches, these presentations 7 days a week. So that was my fundamental education into business, into adulthood, into managing money, into shaping my identity and authenticity and who I am and who I want to be. And what I'll tell you, I learned is that I never want to be fake. I never want to feel like I have to behave a certain way or act a certain way or be polished in the way that people want. That really was a misalignment for me. I like to just say it how it is. And I think I've been that way my whole life. Well, that industry was very much like paint the picture, act as if. And at one point, I'm living in a 1-bedroom apartment with 5 people. We all had our little tiny air mattresses. So a 1-bedroom, one person would lay on this wall with their air mattress, one person's on that wall with their mattress, but yet I'm driving a Mercedes, right? So I get introduced to a gal who was really successful in the mortgage industry. And she pulled up to the meeting in jeans, a leather jacket, and a minivan. And my buddy who introduced me to Rocky had said, she's never made less than 500 grand a year. She's a badass. She reminds me of you. You got to meet her. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like what's this woman going to be like? Well, when she showed up with jeans, a leather jacket, and a minivan, I was like, I'm in. This is real. It's authentic. It's something that makes a difference in people's lives. This is what I'm going to do. So then, of course, I decided, well, I got to move home. I want to get back to Reno Tahoe area. And a guy says, nope, I won't hire you. You have no experience. You know, selling vitamins doesn't translate. And that's what pissed me off and got me involved in the industry. Yep.
What year was that?
2004, I was 23 years old when I got in the mortgage business.
Wow. So it's '04, which is actually a really good time to get in. The market was like crushing, like '04, '05, '06, especially if you're in Reno. That was like hot market. Um, Funny enough, I got you don't know this about me. My first mortgage job I took in 2000 was my second because I was a mortgage telemarketer in high school. But and I actually was class president.
I know you're cool.
I'm messing with you.
Already determined that you're cool and I'm not.
No. So I was going to ask you, so before I get into mortgage, and we're going to have fun talking about mortgage because we have this in common. But so what were like when I was in high school, I was like kind of like student leader jock, and my brother was like the partier fighter, like kind of grungy acid dropping dude. Um, and so I kind of, but I was always been a person that kind of floated amongst groups. So I'm a little older than you, but like when we were in high school, like there was hippies, and then there was the grunge people, and then there was like the goth kids, and then there was like the jocks. I don't know if where it was where, but so what would you characterize yourself as then?
I was definitely an athlete. I was a gymnast until my sophomore year, and then I played year-round volleyball. And the girls that I ran with have all become massively successful. We all competed against each other. We all get straight A's. We were all into our sports. One of my friends, a dentist. One's an executive in the casino world. The others are physician's assistants. They're all badasses. So definitely. I guess I would say definitely the athlete, but it was Shayla, like, if you don't serve my trajectory of where I'm going and I'm so narrowly focused, then you know we don't need to hang out. I wasn't into small talk. So today I love people. Like, I genuinely figured out that we're all the same. We're all one. We all struggle. We
Yeah.
all are insecure. We're all just ultimately wanting to feel valued and wanting to be loved and loved. And when I decoded that and going, oh, okay, well then I'm not that different, and I started judging less and loving more, and started, especially when you have to recruit people and you're trying to get people to follow you, you start going, well, I need to find all your great qualities. Like, yeah, I can
Yeah.
see you're insecure. I can see you have a lack of confidence here. I can see that, you know, whatever the case is. But let's talk about what you're actually good at. What is your natural ability? Where's your drive? What's your motivation? Who are you? And I got really good and immediately just looking for that and zoning in on it and being able to point it out for people. And obviously that made me likable, but it helped me, like, tap into my natural leadership abilities, tap into that ability for me to say, you know what, if I can learn how to do these hard things, if I can transform myself, if I can, overcome and pick up these skills, then you can too. And that's really been the theme of my life since 19, is leading others and teaching others. And it comes from the fundamental belief that if I can do this, then you can do it. And I genuinely believe that. I don't look at myself as somebody special, other than the fact that I'm extremely driven. And I've come to learn that just it's an attainable goal to learn any skill, but just some people don't have the grit. Some people just don't
Yeah.
have the drive. And as much as you and I, Darius, can just love on people and pull people and rally people, like, if you don't have that fire in your belly, that chip on your shoulder, like, I can't give it to you. I can poke you, but that has got to come from within.
Yeah, and the poking is temporary too, right? Like motivation is fleeting, to your point, and I think that you got to find it within. That's why I love these. Like I've been on a kick with like the Dave Goggins stuff and like the Angela Duckworth grit stuff, because I'm like, man, how do you push yourself? How do you keep pushing yourself? I want to go there, but before we go there, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about like that first moment when you were told like, I'm not hiring you. I know like where I sidetracked myself, but my first mortgage company that I worked at when I was 22 in 2000 was a subprime lender in Irvine across from John Wayne Airport, and I got fired from it. And so I don't think I've had this conversation. I don't think you knew. Did you know that
Oh,
I got fired from my first mortgage
mm-mm.
job? Yeah, I got fired. So they didn't have a junior program. My brother, who's a badass and had been in mortgage since he was 17, and while I was in college, he was working at a mortgage company as my twin brother. He got a job at this subprime lender in Irvine, and so he got me a job, commission only. They have leads, make the phones ring, and the manager was a fucking train wreck of a human. Like this guy like had like I think drug problem, misogynist, racist, like you name it. Like he was literally like super can't like he would have got canceled. He was like hashtag me too times like the third power in every single way I mean, I swear to God, I can't repeat some of the shit he said right now because I think I would get canceled. Um, and unbelievable. It was like if you were to characterize the like what was wrong in business in one human, it was this guy. And so his nickname for me and my brother were like the two ragheads. He called us ragheads because we were Middle Eastern. Like literally, this is like my nickname at work by my boss. Like right, like how would let's think about DE and I now, right? That's the world we came from. And by the way, that was like probably the least offensive shit he said. So he fired me. He said, "Call me college boy." He's like, "You don't know shit, college boy. You're fired." Because and they didn't have a training program, so I got fired from my first mortgage job, and then I found my way back in about 2 years later, but in 2002. But um, tell me about that. Like, you got told no. You met Rocky. She's a badass. You like kind of resonated with her vibe. How did you overcome that? What'd you do?
I just called someone else. Uh,
Easy.
yeah. It's funny because I'm evaluating a lot about failure right now. being in the mortgage industry, as you know, and for everybody who's not in our industry that's listening, we're traditionally about a $2 trillion industry. Well, in 20 and 21, we ballooned up to about a $4.5 trillion industry. So we all had to scramble. And like many industries, I talked to a guy the other weekend who's in the cannabis industry in Colorado and has been for 20 years. And he said, look, we had this temporary demand that was not sustainable, that wasn't real, but we all had to adjust our businesses to deal with it. So we all had to take down more space and hire more people and increase our overhead and expenses to deal with it. And then we didn't just come right back down to center. And I remember you saying to me, the bigger the party, the bigger the hangover. We went way past
Yeah.
center. So now we're hanging out at like, I don't know what will be a $1.5 trillion, $1.8 trillion industry, but we've been built to do 4 trillion. And so it's been a really difficult time managing in the mortgage industry, being a leader, especially. I've been through 6 rounds of layoffs of people that I love and adore. Somebody said to me early on, do you want to build a Fortune 500 company or do you want to build a Fortune 500 family? And for me, that is just no question that I am about family. I'm about having each other's backs, no drama, no blaming, no BS, no toxicity, no gossip. Like, let's just come in and crush and take ownership. If you make a mistake, just own it. Keep your humility. If there's stuff on the floor, pick it up. If the phone's ringing, answer it. Nobody's allowed to say that's not my job. Like, there's no hierarchy. Everyone just get in and get it done. And so letting these people go and managing, a continual slow decline over the last 16 months has been super, super challenging. And I've been thinking about failure a lot, right? And I know for me, failure is my ultimate fear. It's like I will do anything to avoid failing, but ultimate failure only comes when you stop and when you quit, not in the
Right.
game. That to me is how I define failure. Some people define failure like on the journey of parenting, like we failed because our kids at this moment in time are doing XYZ or can't do XYZ yet or whatever. And to me, I'm like, no, that's just a moment. That this is just like a bad day. This is a rejection of a phone call, but it doesn't mean it's a failure. In fact, it's one no closer to the yes. It's failure is a stepping stone to success. So anyway, yeah, when that guy said that, it pissed me off. It put more fire in my belly. But I just got back to creativity and said, okay, who else can I call? Who else do I know? And it turned out that I remembered somebody I went to elementary school with had run an ad in the Southwest magazines back when they used to have magazines and all the airlines. And I was like, I think that guy's in the mortgage industry. So I don't know. I hustled around to find the dude's phone number. This is before social media and Google and everything else. And I called him and said, hey, I want to learn the mortgage industry. I want to learn I want to know what to do and how I learn it and how I get involved in the industry. And he's like, oh, well, we'll hire you. I'm like, all right, here we go. So that was it.
And so, obviously, you've had a big run in the business. You ended up taking that. You've grown one of the biggest businesses in a publicly traded company, a guild. What do you think? Like when you start looking at like how you've built that. Like right now, you've been a guild for how long?
Yeah.
A decade, right? A little bit over a decade.
Yeah.
So those first few years in the business, my sense is like, I mean, walk us through that a little bit. How did you end up at Guild, and then quickly walk us through that, and then kind of tell us how did you end up building this amazing business and become really, I mean, you're kind of a celebrity within that business and in the industry, you know, how did you transform that? Because
Yeah.
look, I know a lot of people in the business. I've been in this business, and for listeners who aren't in the business, think of your industry as like just a bunch of like normal people who show up and are successful to various degrees of success. And then there's that one person that like everyone wants to be. That's Shayla in her world, and she's not going to say that, but I'm going to say that. She's like if you're a local person who is building a book of business and helping real estate agents and helping homeowners, like you're a rock star in that community. now? You weren't obviously in '04 or probably when you started in 12, but yeah, kind of tell us a little bit about that journey. How did you go from like this person that was just really motivated to really what I would consider an influencer in your business? And how are you leveraging that now to, really take your business and keep your business at the level it's at?
Thank you for that question. I'm working on recruiting again and being really actively focused on growing. I've built my really much more through the law of attraction and um, and being intentional, but not in the way I am right now about growth. So I just hosted a masterclass yesterday, and I think it's already on YouTube. And it's so a lot of the stuff you're asking me is stuff I've had to work through because I'm really trying to help people through this difficult time that are questioning, that are drifting, that are going, gosh, am I even in the right industry? Am I in the right company? Do I even have the right skill sets? Was all of my success in the past just a mistake? And I think a lot of people in the world, whether you're in the cannabis industry or you're in the insurance industry or you're in the restaurant industry or whatever, we go through these cycles because it's economic cycles where sometimes we're just good because the market was good. We were at the right place, time
Sure.
and hustling. And the wave of the market improving had a lot to do with our success. And sometimes we're really good, but no matter how good we are, there's just no market. It's just dead. And it's not the time where you should be questioning yourself. It's the time where you should be doubling down and focusing on the foundation you're building. And I happen to think that's one of these times. So I've been looking back at a lot of this, but I think the way I've done it is the slow way, Darius. But for me, it's the right way. Everything that I learn so that I can teach others. And I've been doing that for a long time. So even like watching teachers teach calculus or something, if I kind of get it confused, I know that people around me are also getting it confused. And I'm thinking, if your goal is to teach someone, how do you make this so that people can digest it and get it? And I think that's probably what's helped me be successful because I try to learn at such a deep level that I could turn around and teach somebody else, whether it's a client or the next employee or something like that. Galen laughs at me because I'll listen to a podcast, read your book, and you came and taught me core values, and then I turn around and boom, went and did it, and I'll keep doing it because I want to learn at that level. So the first 5 years of my career, I just became really competent as a technician. I'm 100% worked in my business. I mean, it's a 24/7, phone on my ear all the time, thinking and dreaming about the business, totally out of balance. But I believe became the best there ever was that I knew because I knew all my guidelines. I knew how to anticipate every problem. I learned how to communicate through the issues. I learned how to organize my day. But there came a plateau where there's only so much I can do as one person. And then you tap out, right? So, fortunately, at that time, I got a coach. And I think we all need coaches. Darius, it's why I hired you and paid you a ton of money to coach me because we hit these plateaus where it's all that we know. We need somebody from the outside to, call us forward to that next level of ourselves. Um, so the next skill set for me to really learn was how to trust other people, how to not be a total control freak, how to, value a team and create longevity and loyalty with people and get, train them and go, who do I hire? What do they do? Where do I put them in place? How do I explain the function of my team to the market? How do I get people used to working with me that are used to one way? Now it's a new way. And so that the next 3 years is what I really focused on was building my team, hiring my first assistant, my second assistant, marketing and branding the team. And we had a nice ride. I mean, we went from doing 94 loans a year. The next year was 214. The next year was over 500 loans. So I went from about 30 million to $100 million in volume quickly. And that was largely because I was just coachable. I literally said, tell me what to do and I will do it. I've plateaued. There's no more that I can figure out with my own creativity. And there was a lot of stuff that made me feel really uncomfortable, but I just did it anyway because the pain of staying the same was greater than the pain of doing the work to do something different. And that was in every area. The way I showed up for people, the way I trusted people, the way I became bold and asked for business. And then the next evolution from there was like, okay, now I figured out how to go from a total workaholic, zero balance, great loan officer, but not super well paid, to building a team where I have a lot more life balance. I could take a 2 week vacation and not bring my phone, and, double, triple, quadruple my income. I've got to teach other people how to do this. Like, it would be really not cool of me to have unlocked the code and then not helped other people do it. So that's where I started going, hey, it's just a formula. It's just a roadmap. It's a playbook. If you work the playbook works. And so as I was being coached, I started coaching others, and they started following and doing what I was doing. And I could see over and over and over again people having similar success of growth, of course, if they're driven and competent and doing the work. And so that's what's happened the last 10 years. So now I have about, not that big of a squad. I have about 25 to 30 loan officers, but we're really efficient. Generally, we do about $1 billion worth of business. This year we'll be off. We'll probably do about 5 to 600. And now I'm working on, I've built some coaching programs, as you know. I built a coaching program inside of Guild for loan officers. I built a manager program, so now I'm coaching branch managers. I now just launched a Facebook group where I'm starting to just coach more at the industry at large. And now I'm really contemplating, Darius, how do I build a network? How do I help somebody that's in Georgia or Florida or Connecticut or Texas or Minnesota work with me, but plug into those local markets and local management and operations teams, but then still have my guidance, still have my energy, still have my influence in their life. So that's the next challenge I'm taking on. Oh, okay. If you're going to pay the money to be coached, then you better just be coachable. And I think that's the first step, is paying money. Um, I think that's the problem, is a lot of people go, I want to be coached, but I want it for free. Well, until you pay a personal trainer and they're there and they're charging whether you show up or not, generally you don't take it seriously. And sometimes you got to pay even more to get yourself more serious. So that's step one. And then step two is you got to make sure you hire a coach that you trust and respect. For the longest time, I only wanted to hire a coach that's doing more volume than me, that's basically doing what I do, but is, the bigger pile theory, that has a bigger pile, that has been where I've been, that's doing what I've done. Then after a while, I started hiring coaches like you, Darius, that weren't originators, but you built a massive mortgage company and scaled 3,000 employees. You had a skill set that's different completely than mine, which is blocking and tackling on the sales field and running a local operation. And then Isaac was a coach of mine who was never a loan originator. And I remember somebody going, you're really going to listen to him? He doesn't do what we do. And I said, yeah, if a good coach makes me think, asks me questions, and then holds me accountable, that's what I need in a good coach. But the decision is always from the student. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. So our best calls, Darius, were when I came ready, when I showed up and was like, I need this out of this call. I need this out of this call. This is a struggle I'm having. And you were like, boom, da, 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 da. But if I just showed up, running off another appointment, be like, I'm here, coach me. They were good calls, but it's always about how you show up in life. You get what you give. And that's so true for coaching.
I love that. Yeah, you're actually making me think, because I was always a person, especially being I'm like hardcore achiever, and this, you'll appreciate this, just being a coach that charges a shit ton. I'm like, hey, I have to bring value, right? Like I'm competitive, or I'm like, I have to bring value. So when people come, I'm like, I love when people come with super fucking gnarly hard problems. I'm like, oh, that this is the juice, as opposed to like, everything's all right, and then you're kind of fishing for it, trying to figure out how you can add value, how you can help them. So great point. I want to pivot though, and I want to kind of, because I mentioned earlier in the show, like, I really view you as like an adventurer, someone that takes a bite out of life and is really going for it. Let's talk about that. I'd love to talk a little bit about like that part of your spirit, and like like what, how you like go for that, because I think that is something a lot of people are afraid to do. I'm going to make a note here. Like, when I met you, you were like working at midnight in Spain, and we were having coaching call, or 10 o'clock at night at Spain, and we were working, like, I'm in Texas, so you're living in Spain during COVID. I think you mentioned that you and your husband tried out for the Amazing Race. You know, you just did a trip around the world in like 7 days 2 months ago. Let's talk a little about this adventurous spirit and like where that comes from and how you're leveraging that and some of the things that you've done and some of the things that you'd love to do.
Yeah, super fun that you brought up several of those moments. I don't know. I'm not into astrology, but somebody once was telling me about Aquarius, that Aquariuses are either like super focused and super driven, or just like a hippie vagabond. You know, and so I just think I embody both. You know, there's a, a huge part of my soul that is just, I want to get out in the world. If it's out there, I want to see it, especially when I think about, you know, polar ice caps melting and, you know, like, you know, scuba diving. I've never scuba dived, but I'm like, I got to scuba dive because, you know, all of the corals getting bleached out and it'll like never be there again. And so I don't really operate on life out of FOMO. That would definitely be more of Galen. But I want to operate my life more out of a state of wonder and awe. And I love trying to find the wonder in everyday moments. And then also just saying hell yes to life. You know, so just in February, in January, I listened to a podcast, and it was a group of Navy SEALs talking about trying to create money, research, and funding for veteran suicide. And the way they were going to do it was through the studying physicality of how you take somebody when they're really, really low and build back up their physicality so that they can think clearly, feel better, have better confidence, and start, you know, really engaging in their life. And so they said the way we're going to do this is by an experiment of getting these veterans to train for 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. And then their bodies will be so broken down and thrashed that we'll be able to get all their biomarkers at the beginning, at the end, and then work all of these, you know, strategies to get the body back and be able to manualize that and bring that research to the military and first responders and, you know, just even young men and women. And I hear this story and I'm thinking, damn, like that is a big vision. I mean, just finding the aircraft that you can fly to 7 continents in 7 days took 9 months and well over $1 million, right? And I'm going, okay, I think too small. And when they said that they were selling VIP seats on the aircraft to fund the charity mission, I said, I got to do this. I'm in. And it seems to me that like a percentage of people I meet are like, hell yes, that sounds amazing. And a large percent look at me so confused. Like, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to spend 80 hours on an airplane? Why would you want to get to Antarctica to only get out of the plane and 6 or 8 hours later get back in the plane and fly another 10 hours to, you know, Australia and so on and so forth. So I think the part of my spirit is that I want to say hell yes to things, and I want to experience extraordinary. And if it's possible, why not do it? At the same time, I'm a realist and my husband's a dreamer. So his philosophy is, well, if there's a private jet to be had, then why not have it? And if there's like a 7-star, then why not have it? And I don't think that way. I think like, you know, okay, how do I create financial security? I need X dollars in the bank. Okay, I'm going to go get that. All right, I've done that. How do we expand our lifestyle to create more community and rad experiences for people? Okay, we upgrade this kind of boat. Okay, boom, go do it. Okay, you know, like that's kind of the way I think. I don't know, maybe I take on too much pressure as an achiever, Darius, to think so big that I'm like, crap, now I've got to go do it. But in terms of moving to Spain, I've always wanted to live abroad. One of the regrets of dropping out of college was I would have studied abroad. And Isaac actually gave me an assignment to do a personal offsite. I was feeling pretty burnt and crispy, pretty overwhelmed. Life was getting busy. You know, I'd grown the business a lot, but I also had 2 young girls. You had a nanny full time. We woke up one day and you're like, gosh, I think I have 4 or 5 cars, 2 houses. Like, this is madness. It's just too much. It's stuff. And so I did an offsite and I spent 2 days journaling and answering prompts like, where do you find joy? And if you had no obligations, responsibilities, what would you do with your life? And answering those deep existential questions just got me to say, I want to live abroad. Like now, why not now? My daughter's 9, she's halfway through. And so it was February of 2019 that I said, I'm doing that. And then I looked through my whole life and my business and said, okay, what do I need to prepare over the next 11 months to get my team dialed in, to be able to work remote, to, empower leaders? And it was a really good exercise and gave me a huge jolt of energy to create and grow in that next way. And then of course everyone worked remote. We got there in January of 2020, and within 2 months the whole world was remote. Uh,
Oh wow! So you got there. So you did it right before
yeah, yeah,
COVID.
yeah. We were there.
Oh, I thought it was during you left. I didn't realize it was
Oh,
before. No
yeah, we were
way.
there. We were going to go for like 6 months initially, test it out. We'd taken our first ski trip to Italy, and whatever that was, mid-February, late February, ski week. And that's when COVID broke out in Italy. And we were there. And then we fly back to Spain, and everybody's like, oh, you were just in Italy? I mean, people looked at us like we were aliens, and nobody knew what COVID was. And yeah, we were locked in our apartment then for like 6 weeks straight. We couldn't even go outside for a walk. We couldn't even go in the parking garage. It was intense, but we had that moment of truth of like, do we want to go back and go home, or do we want to stick it out here? And I was like, we got to stick it out here. Like, we're here. We did all this prep to be here. Like, let's just hunker down. And it turned out to be a huge blessing for us because we had no expectations. We had no one to compare it to. Everyone in Spain just followed the rules. And we had been there with the intention of having really solid quality time. We had no parents to help us. We had no nannies to help us. We had one car. And because that was our intention, like we just leaned into it, which is, I know if I was home, I would have been resisting and fighting and, going, but why are they outside and I'm not? What are the rules? And am I breaking the rules? So it ended up being really cool. We ended up staying in Spain a total of 3 years after that point. Because we kind of got gypped on the experience with COVID. So every year we're like, another school year, another school year.
Yeah, I just realized. So you're gonna laugh at this. So this is really funny. So I was supposed to move to Spain March, or I was supposed to move there summer. Well, I don't know if it was gonna be summer. We were supposed to go March of 2020 to go look at schools and houses, and like we were looking in like Valencia and Seville, and then COVID hit and I didn't go, and then I met you like probably 18 months later, and and I was like, gosh, I'm such a loser. Shayla didn't care that there was COVID and she went after the fact. So I was totally comparing myself to you. I was like, she totally had the balls to do it and I didn't. And oh man, I should be more like Shayla. So now, I should be more like you in a lot of ways. And I know comparisons the thief of joy, but I seriously, that was the story I told myself. I was like, oh my god, they're such badasses, and me and my wife totally wimped out, and we didn't do it because like the whole world blew up right then, and we were just exploring. We were trying to plan. We were going to go do South America for the summer. I was taking the whole year off, and then I was going to go and move there in the fall for school. Um, so all right, I don't feel like such a loser anymore. You didn't know you didn't know what was
Yeah,
about to happen.
because it does take a lot of prep. I mean, if you do it right, and we got a visa, we got a non-lucrative visa, and that's a pain in the neck to figure out, dealing with San Francisco and the Spanish consulate and dealing with it there. So like, I don't even know what that would have looked like to move during COVID, although I don't think people were checking much. I don't, so who knows? But I think you made the right decision, and yeah, we would not have had the guts to do that. Like, are you kidding? Like, we're out of here.
Yeah, I swear I was like, I can't believe she did it. I'm like, I mean, it killed the trip. I had to cancel it and all this stuff. So okay, so I got an adventure. I'm gonna throw your way and see if you're interested. Have you been to Necker Island to see Richard
No, but
Branson
I'd
before?
love to.
Do you want to go with me with Galen and me? And I'm gonna try to get my wife to go in January. I got invited by a friend today, and I think I can get people. I can get folks to
Yeah, I'd
come.
love to. I really, really would. You know what? You know why? Is because I think I sense that Richard Branson manifests his success through joy. And that's something that I've always been moving towards in my life, because my earlier beliefs, my old story is that my value is in my performance and I'm only good as my current performance. And being an achiever, that's a heavy cross to bear, that I always need to be productive. And I don't know, all of you can relate, but like it's a weekend and I've got to have a to-do list, and it's the afternoon and I got to have a to-do list, and I'm doing self-care, but it's on a timer. Like, okay, now I'm going to do this. So I get the sense that, he's achieved massive big things, but through joy, through what's possible, through ease. Not that life is always easy, but I think that a lot of times I've made my success harder than it needs to be because I've believed in these limiting beliefs that it has to be hard.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I'm a person that tries to not expect like like things to happen.
This is just evidence of meeting cool people, cool opportunities happen. And also, like, maybe I've created this brand in your mind of like Shayla does crazy cool shit. Like her and Galen are like, they go for it in life. They go to the surf ranch and they do these things and blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? Now you get pitched more cool stuff. But you got to like get out in the world and do those things and be around those people for them to go, oh, you're one of us. Like, let's do it. So this is
Yeah.
evidence that I haven't always been that. I mean, I didn't see the ocean until I was 12. My whole family lives in Reno, Nevada. Like literally, I've got tons of aunts and uncles and everyone's here. And it took me with a lot of courage going, I'm going to go live abroad. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done because I didn't realize, Darius, how much I worried about the judgment of others, and me being an achiever and wanting to provide value for people because I'm present and I'm coaching and I'm here to say I'm going, and worry that people would think I'm abandoning them and that I wasn't valuable anymore and that they would all leave me. um, there was huge stuff for me to overcome to do that. But this is really cool that just happened, that you just invited me to Necker Island because I had the guts to pursue it then. Right. And so I think for everybody listening, there's something that you're considering doing. There's something that you're like, I need to do that thing. Like, just do the thing. And I promise you, the more authentically you live into yourself, in the beginning, people start going, gosh, he's really speaking his mind. Like, oh, I thought she's always been kind of a pleaser and doesn't ruffle feathers. And now she's actually speaking from her heart and she's doing these things that people can't understand. Um, and then all of a sudden they go, you know what? She's killing it. He's killing it. Like that's how it goes from the outside perspective. And
Yeah.
but you've got to go through all that messy middle and just go for it. And then all of a sudden you get people going, oh no, that person's living on a different level or chasing a different life, and we're fully supporting it. And then they're telling stories about you.
Yeah, I love that. By the way, I was before I asked, this just happened this afternoon, and I reached out to my CEO groups and and like invited 20 people, and none of them said yes. And I was like, this is a pretty cool invite. How would nobody say? And I know none of them have gone. And then and so then you're talking, I'm like, God, this is so on brand for you. But I swear to God, before I asked, I'm like, God, I hope she hasn't gone already. I swear to God, I thought that. Because so you're right. I was literally like, I hope she hasn't gone already because then she'll say yes. Um, so there you go. You're exactly right. That and I was like, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. I've been invited a bunch of times, but it was always this is like the fourth or fifth time I've been invited. But it's always like crazy expensive, and this one just happens to be like pretty reasonable. For I mean, it's like still expensive, but reasonable for that. And so I was like, yeah, this seems kind of cool. Like, and it's like not stupid expensive. And so, yeah, we'll take it offline, but I know I want to respect your time. I know it's Friday afternoon and you got kids and stuff going on. I have two things for you. I didn't tell you, but we always ask a greatness question at the end of the show. So I'm going to ask that in a second. But before we go there, I want to know what's like besides maybe coming to Necker Island with me, what is your next big adventure you are thinking about doing?
Well, we are actively pursuing schools that we're interested in. And I won't give away any details, but um, we want extraordinary for a school experience for our girls. And now that we've done international school and we've done forest school and we've done Waldorf school and we've done public school, um, we've just got a sense. And so kind of we're on that hunt now, and there's some exciting stuff in the works that we're up to. So I'll keep you posted.
Do you want to? Okay. Well, there's a so if you either A would consider moving to Austin or B want to learn about a school in Austin that basically took two of my friends' kids to Nepal on a backpacking trip as part of their school, like we should
I
talk.
I
Like
I
and
do actually, Darius, because our buddies are building a surf ranch in Austin. And I don't know if I've sent you pictures from when we go to Surf Ranch, Kelly Slater Surf Ranch in Lemoore, California. But they're going to be building a wave park with 150 houses with Discovery Land Company in Austin. And we're looking to buy a house out there with this rad community of people. So I might be spending a hell of a lot more time in Austin down the road in a few years. So I might need that school.
Yeah, let's take it off. Let's take it offline. It's a very small school. Two of my closest friends' kids go to it, and they're doing that. Like it's a bunch of like they're doing these like hardcore like traveling things and pushing the kids, and it's right up your alley. And the people, they're like, Darius, you got to put your kids in it. And I'm like, look, man, like you, my kids have been in a lot of schools, and I'm like, my oldest son's finally settled into like a great performing arts magnet school, and I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
moving him. Like he's happy. I'm done. My younger one's like, we'll see, but yeah, we'll take that offline. So, all right, I can't wait to learn more about this. So, listen, I we could probably be on here for like 2 hours, like, so I don't want to. I want to respect your time. And I want to talk offline about some of this fun stuff. But before we go there, we always like to ask the greatness question of all of our guests. And so I'm going to ask it of you as well. And it goes like this: what is the number one barrier to creating greatness that you overcome in your life? And how did you overcome it? I'll repeat it one more time. What is the number one barrier to creating greatness that you have overcome in your life? And how did you overcome it?
I'm constantly overcoming it. I don't know if there's ever a situation where you've arrived or you've gained a certificate and saying, "Oh, that was the old me." But I would definitely say it's worthiness. I think confidence is a belief, and it's a feeling, and it's a belief that things are going to work out well for me, and that I can handle this. And it's a feeling of I am capable, I am worthy of this thing, and I'm willing to do the work. And so the biggest part of that generally is the worthiness. Am I worthy of this opportunity? Am I worthy to go to Necker Island? Like, who am I? And I think that comes up all the time for all of us when we are going to go for greatness. Greatness as a mother, greatness in our PTA meetings, greatness in business, greatness chasing new opportunities. And so yeah, that is something that I work with all the time. The way I've overcome worthiness is generally that I will outwork anybody, that I will win through my hustle, and that I will study and learn and be relentless until I'm the best that there is. Um, but where I'm trying to get to now is just a place of we're all worthy. We're all created in divine perfection, and there's a limitless opportunity for every one of us to be and do who we are uniquely in our own way. And I think that just really embracing the fact that people love authenticity, people love you being you and the biggest version of you. It feels scary to do that way because we think that we need to somehow survive in a tribe by conforming. But we all know because we see it in others that those that are going out there and authentically being themselves, being bigger and a bolder version of themselves, are the ones we want to be around, that we're interested by, that we're intrigued with. So you're worthy just being you. And that's what I continually work with so that I can have that confidence to chase the next thing of greatness.
I love it. And what I just heard you say is you're just playing the infinite game, baby. You know, the infinite game of worthiness, and that's why I like being around you. So I appreciate you saying that. And man, with great words of wisdom. So, so anyone that wants to connect with you, either inside or outside the industry, and I'm going to tell you this: whether you're inside or outside the mortgage industry, you should connect with Shayla on social or however she wants the people to connect with her, because you're just like a shining light of positivity and awesomeness, and it's fun to watch you do your thing. It really is inspirational. So how can people connect with you if they want to learn more about the stuff you're working on, see you doing crazy shit, flying all around the world on 7-day treks to the Antarctica or whatever is next at Surf Ranch? I'd love, or maybe our trip to Necker that may or may not happen. Yeah, tell the audience how they can learn more about Shayla Gifford and
Yeah, I
company.
spend most of my time on Instagram. So my handle is at Shay, Shay, GIF, GIFF, or you could search just Shayla Gifford. And then I've also got that Facebook group that I'm putting a lot of content, interviews, and things into now. And I think you could search it up on Facebook, just coaching with Shayla. I think that most things are applicable to every industry, although I'm always talking to loan officers and mortgage professionals in that group. So you'll have to decide if it's for you. But Darius, thank you so much for having me on here. I've been waiting. I was like, do we really have to wait till April? So I'm glad it's
I
finally here
know.
and we got to do it.
Definitely. Shayla, so much gratitude. Appreciate you so much. So glad to have met you and to got to work with you and to continue to get to know you. And thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and knowledge with our audience
I'm
today.
so grateful for you too, Darius. Thank you for having me.
Guys, with that said, share this with everyone that needs to hear it, because Shayla is just such a freaking badass and everyone needs to hear all her awesomeness. And I just loved everything about this episode. And I think that this is something that, you know, as a leader, we're givers and sharers, and we need to share this type of message with all of those that we love and care about. Until next time, peace out, everybody. We love you. You are listening to The Greatness Machine, and that's a wrap for today. Listen, if you love what you heard, subscribe to the show on whatever podcast platform that you're tuning in on, so that you don't miss any of our future episodes. We have tons of great people coming on, and we're stoked to have you here to enjoy it with us. Leave us a review. Tell us what you love most about this particular episode. We love getting the reviews. We love to see what you guys love most. And if this particular episode, made you think of someone who's leveling up in their business and in their life, print screen, share it with them. Leaders are the best givers, and after all, we're all here to support and grow with each other. And in case you want to see some of the fun behind the scenes shots or some of the things that we're doing, I'm actually writing about this in my weekly newsletter. Go to www.therealdarius.com and subscribe to my newsletter. We're talking about fun things like business and life and mindfulness and cryptocurrencies and gosh, I don't even know, everything and anything, but it's tons of fun stuff I write about. I try to get it out on a weekly basis. You can subscribe at www.therealdarius.com. And with that said, look, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I love you. Peace. We're out of here. See you guys on the next one.
She's my lover.